Hello, hello. How are you doing? I am so excited to be here today with my dear friend Denise McCormick, who is launching her brand new children's book, Polly, the Talking Collie. Dear friend Denise McCormick. Oh, I got to shut down the background noise, but that's the sign that we are live, Denise.
Good.
Woo! That's how I know. When I hear us in the background, I know we're live.
Good.
So, how exciting is it that we have made it here to launch day today?
Wow. It has certainly been a journey. I'm trying to hit this okay over here because it's still up there. But
Oh yeah.
I don't see my cursor. It's just
If you do you see the little Zoom logo at the bottom? Because sometimes if you hit that, it'll bring it back up for you.
nothing's at the bottom. Nothing's at the bottom.
Well, I can see you clearly. So if you just put your
We'll just
beautiful
leave
face
it.
on the camera, everyone else can see you too.
We'll
Yeah.
just leave it.
Yeah. Right.
No,
That's why I'm like, I love technology.
it's been a journey, and Tracy's been a big part of my journey. Tracy yesterday came up from I can't remember how many years ago, but it was when we were in Women Who Shine together.
Oh,
And yeah,
and it was 2 years ago, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh geez, we have so many things that we've shared together. And then of course I've had her and her sons on with books. And so it's been a fun journey. But Polly is it's a special journey that I had this past year. It was probably the most challenging year of my life. And I've had challenging years. This
Wow.
one kind of took the cake. And I had a decision to make. And the decision was, okay, when we're in fear of something, am I going to FEAR, forget everything and run? Or am I going to face everything and rise? And just Denise style, I just have to pick the second one and just see where I can go with it.
One of the many reasons I love and adore you so much.
I always tell Kate, our butler, our publisher together, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So
So
yeah.
can you for everyone that's tuning in, can you give us a little bit of your background? Because I think everyone needs to know a little bit of your background.
Well, I was a 26-year educator teaching almost every single elementary grade. And then when I went on to get my master's and my K-12 reading specialist and my reading endorsement and become an hour writing project instructor and teach college for 10 years, I did that until I was 57 years old. And they walked in one day telling me, you're going to teach to a pacing guide. You're going to teach this on this day and this the next day. I went home to my husband and I said, not going to happen. That's not in the best interest of my students. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to be the change I want to see in education. And so I started on a new journey. I retired early and I started on an entrepreneurial journey. And I started with a wellness because my self-care had been compromised as a teacher, and I took them on and won a lawsuit against the district to get the accommodations that I needed. And then they ended up air conditioning the school. That's in a story I wrote called Leading with Legacy.
Yeah, I
And
remember
it's
that one.
called The Educator's Edge, Ask, Ask, Ask. And it's a call out to any woman to what are you saying to yourself that's keeping you down and out?
Mhm.
And what can you say to yourself to rise back up? And so that I did that. And I just noticed that I just wasn't just doing, and I was successful at it. I was in a company and I became an area manager within the first 3 months, but it was just one part of what I wanted to do. And so when I went to BTS in 2014, which is Breakthrough to Success with Jack Canfield, I met my publisher, Kate Butler, and she planted a seed in my mind about writing a story in a book. Well, what she didn't know is I'd already written a story in a book when I broke my wrist in my classroom, and the occupational therapist had asked me to write about my experience. And it was in a book called Ordinary Miracles. And I wrote, Doctor, will I be able to play the piano again? And I had 7 months of therapy with my right hand to get the use of my hand back. And I just turned it into a learning experience for my third grade students at the time with goal setting, because when I started the year, I couldn't even make a fist. So, yeah, so I had already done a book, but so it just kind of stayed back there.
Oh,
And I loved the Jack Canfield success principles and started teaching them right away, even before I got my certification in 2019. And so I just kept going, and I thought, oh, I want to do a children's book. And at 13, I had an experience that really allowed me to have kind of a spiritual transformation, Tracy,
wow.
um, where we were golfing with a group of good friends. And a friend who wasn't with us that day walked over. They lived by the golf course, and we all went up and over to talk. We didn't know one of the girls was teeing off, and the ball hooked, and it hit the best friend I was standing right beside, and she fell down. I ran to the clubhouse. She went home that night. We thought everything was okay. I left for vacation to New York the next day. And what I didn't know is that afternoon, she told her mother she wasn't feeling well and laid down and had a brain aneurysm. So I was gone the entire week of her death and her funeral and everything. So I get home the end of the week, and not one person, Tracy, asked me how I felt. So I went upstairs to my bedroom with my quote books and my prayer book. And I knew she was now an angel of mine, and
Wow.
that she was always going to be there with me. And I made a pledge to myself that I would be the best version that I could be, because she wasn't going to get to grow up and be an astronaut. And she wasn't going to get to do all the things that, and she was the Methodist minister's daughter. So it was a spiritual transformation. But why I'm telling you this story is this story made me see that I need to write a book for children that helps them know they're not their thoughts. And
Yeah.
so I wrote Never Mind the Monkey Mind.
And my
Because
kids are obsessed with that book. But yeah, like that book is amazing. It's so catchy. And anyone that hasn't read it, it's like Denise has a magical song that's written with it, and you get access to it's so great. It was just
well,
such,
Tracy helped me with
oh,
that book.
but it
She's
was
not
such a great
saying that.
experience. Like it's one, I'm very blessed to have amazing friends who then also sometimes become clients, and they're like the funnest projects ever. So
We
that's
had
a
fun.
blessing.
We
Yeah.
had fun. And
But
in my kids in Ghana, when I traveled there to Ghana, West Africa, this spring, to support an educator friend of mine that has a nonprofit called Links Across Borders. The kids, I taught them that song, and they just learned it so fast and were so enthusiastic. And so I've just really been blessed that I can go out and do this. But back to Polly.
yeah.
It was one of the students in Angela Germano's classroom out in New Jersey that gave me the idea to use Polly as a character. And I was doing Zooming with their 4 classes in sixth
Oh,
grade. And one of the kids said, "How's Polly?" Because she was in my bio for the book, because I had a picture by my.
yeah. She's always been in there.
They've always asked about her. I said, "Oh, Polly needs to be in my next story." Well, I had spent 4 years. Now we know that the E plus R equals O, taking 100% responsibility, is one of the hardest things for adults to download. Okay. So
Yeah.
imagine if it's hard for adults to download it, how hard will it be for children? And I was talking to my publisher, Marion Laundry, this morning. She says, "Yeah, I just couldn't figure quite how to do that." Well, Polly, if I make her a talking Polly, or collie,
Yeah.
and she tells the story, and she tells about taking 100% responsibility, because we all know dogs are known for that. I mean, they're
Yeah.
now service dogs all over the
Yeah.
world.
Absolutely.
And so I had 3 goals with this book. The first one was to introduce kids to I am taking 100% responsibility. The second one, I believe that farming, the books that I saw in libraries, it was very antiquated and just, I just felt like it needed to be updated. There's GPS in
Yeah, we have.
now. Yeah, we
I,
have technology in
I
farming.
love it. Right. This
Yeah.
is a modernized children's story. I love
Yes.
it.
Yes. And then the third one was to bring the service component in because she's both a service, emotional support for both my husband and I, because during COVID, his brother was suffering from cancer and in treatment, and we couldn't go anywhere to fear of exposing him to that. So there were three components to it. And I found a poster that says responsibilities we learn from dogs. And so I wove into the story all the things that dogs teach us.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's how Polly came to be. But her story is hilarious. I mean,
I can't wait to read it.
she does the
We
funniest
ordered it
thing.
this morning. I cannot wait. I cannot
It
wait to
makes
have it
you
in my
laugh,
hand.
and then I think you'll have a tear at the end.
Probably, yeah, probably. Um, I love that you had three clear goals, and it sounds like you've checked them all off.
Check them out.
So, this sounds like a book that is really going to help, really help bridge that gap of stuff. We all say, "Oh, I wish I learned that when I was a kid," right? Like it would have
Right,
been easier to learn. And
right.
so I think hearing how you just put all this together to do that for kids while they're younger, it just makes it right. It makes it not hard. It's like that tangible little steps.
Yeah. And I love it that adults tell me, well, your books, I learned some things too. Well, that is kind of a little goal I have in there too.
Well, right, because as a parent, I think we've talked about this before, but comment below this when you're here. It's like, have you like ever sat there reading books with your kids or grandchildren and thought, oh, this is like you're but when it's something that you learn, you're like, oh, it's exciting. Yeah, grab that book again.
Mhm.
I like being genuinely excited to read with my kids.
Yeah.
And I know grandparents feel the same
Yeah,
way.
they
So
do.
it's like when you have a book that's like, okay, I love the story and I connect with it and learn something when I read it too. I don't know. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Well, the readability of it is like 6 to 8 year olds reading level,
Yeah.
but message is for everybody.
Yeah. So universal message, but 6 to 8. So I know you're doing something else that's super special with the book. So can you share like what proceeds and like what that special thing is that you're doing with the book?
Okay, well, I'm so excited. I've been working in my hometown of Mount Pleasant, Iowa, to help bring an animal shelter to fruition. And of course, I haven't been able to do as much of the legwork because I've been so busy doing all this other stuff, writing book and speaking and traveling. And so I have decided that all signings in Henry County, Iowa, will be donated to All God's Creatures. And I have a bunch. Polly's going to the library with me next Monday. and and listen to tomorrow. Ragbri, which is the great bike ride across the state of Iowa, is landing in Mount Pleasant tomorrow. So I'm at the All Guides Creatures booth. And I've done a little technology because I don't have my author copies yet. Tracy be proud of this, that I
I'm
came up
very
with
proud
this
of you.
QR code to get the book. They don't want a book if they're riding on a bike anyway to hassle with. And
Yeah.
then I have my a free gift, and then they can get my newsletter if they'd like to.
I
So
love
that's, and then beyond that, the rest of launching beyond my county area,
that.
I went to Ghana, West Africa. I'm wearing my African dress and beads and bracelet today.
Oh,
It's
you look
going
beautiful,
links
by the way.
across. Oh, thank you. Going to Links Across Borders, which is a nonprofit that is in Ghana. I'm just looking for my thing that I took to the Rotary the other night as I'm telling about it. But they co-create libraries and have trainings and empowerment projects and support teachers and provide things. But I want those 27 students that just sat for their ninth grade exams to have the money there that they can go on to high school, because in Ghana, they leave their community and go to another community. Now they all speak English from third grade on because they are a colony of Great Britain. but there's 50 languages in Ghana. So
Oh,
they'll go and experience another language and in culture in another place, in another town. So it's, yeah. So the goal is because they'll have to take their bedding, they're just like they're going off to college.
so we had a friend of ours who's a contractor. He was going to build like houses for
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And we donated a bunch of the Winter Owl experience boxes.
Oh,
He
wow.
sent us photos of the kids, like really, and it like I could not even imagine, like, because my heart melted just from the photo. So I could not imagine how amazing and wonderful it had to be for you to be right there,
It was
helping
incredible.
the kids. And now knowing that, wow, with something that you created, now you're going to be able to provide their high school education. I mean, that's Denise, that's awesome. So
Yeah,
if those
pretty
of you have
exciting.
not purchased this book yet, purchase it now, because not only are you going to enjoy the book, learn something amazing for your own personal development, there is also, you are going to help people across the world get a better education. And Denise, like, that's like the cherry on top of the sundae, right? Like,
It is.
you thought of
No,
everything.
I was there and I just went, oh my goodness. I'm so blessed that I can figure out a way that I can help with this.
That's,
And it's, it's from my heart.
yeah,
Heart.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want people to know before they go and get their book about Polly, the Talking Collie? Anything else?
Well, I just want people to know that miracles happen to people who believe. This year was not an easy year for me to take on a project like this. And I had to make a decision. Am I going to take 100% responsibility and make this happen? Or am I going to forget everything and run? Or am I going to face everything and rise? And I talked to my publisher at a Believe Live. I drove myself up. I did hard things last year. Tracy, life is hard. Okay. It's hard if you do something hard, and it's hard if you don't do it, because then you have to deal with, oh, why didn't I do that?
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm choosing this one instead.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to her at lunch and I said, Miriam, gosh, I really want to write this book. I finally figured out after 4 years who's in it, how I want to write it. But this is a really, really challenging year. And I just don't know if I can make it work. And she looked at me and she said, Denise, we will be here when you are ready. And I thought to myself after I left that lunch, when I am ready, wow, that's on me, isn't it? That doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. We're not our circumstances, Tracy. We are our dreams. And this is a dream of me, of
Yeah.
mine. And I'm going to make it happen. And then another thing you need to know about this book is it's dedicated to my husband. And my husband is right here. This is an actual picture. This wonderful illustrator, Julie Bossum,
Amazing.
took pictures that I had actually taken of my family, of my farm, of my everything,
Wow.
and used them for the illustrations in collage art, which is just absolutely stunning.
Oh, I
And
love that.
she and I are going to collaborate. My husband and I, he retired last year. He has some health issues and we're dealing with them, and he's dealing with them very well. And we're moving to a townhouse in Coralville, Iowa, where the University of Iowa is. And I have the whole bottom floor of my that townhouse that I can do my Canfield trainings in, that authors can come in, say they want to write a book with me. They can come for the weekend, stay in my
Oh,
guest room. We'll get you started, get it going.
I
Or
love
I can do my women speak circles.
that.
So I have strategized, and I bought this all on my own. I never bought a house. We've lived in this farmhouse for 48 years. So last year was like Okay, you've taken over a corporation, you bought a townhouse, you've traveled by yourself to Niagara Falls, you drove up there, drove out to Denver, you've traveled to Africa, you traveled to California. Now, miracles are going to happen to those who believe, because that's my word this year. And
Right.
I believed that all this could happen, and here it sits. But it's not without a lot of help from a lot of people. And there's Sylvia's um, um, endorsement of the book, and Dr. Angela Sadler Williamson, who's Rosa Parks' cousin, that's her endorsement of the book. And I just feel really, really blessed that I have met all of these people through my writing,
Wow.
and that I pushed myself through the mindset each time, because you can't get to success without a struggle. It's just not possible. Everybody looks at you, and I've gotten lots of awards this year, and I thought that's 10 years of work, folks. That's 10
Right.
years of telling myself, do not quit.
Right. Like
You're
the
not done
moment
yet.
you are such an inspiration, Denise. Like you are such an inspiration.
Oh.
And it's such a beautiful thing because like those moments of where you just want to lay on the floor and cry. I'm
And
always like,
sometimes
go
you
ahead
do,
and
and
cry.
sometimes you
Just
do.
get back up. It's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead because you got to
Sometimes
let it
you
out.
do. Yeah, let it out and then move on. It's
Yeah.
like my favorite quote. It's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote, and I love Eleanor because she was an advocate for children, and so am I. She says, "You gain strength, confidence, and courage by every situation where you must stop and look fear in the face. You say to yourself, I've lived through a horror before. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do what you think you cannot do."
Oh, I love that. It's so
So
beautiful.
that was this year. And Holly,
I love it,
the
Polly.
closest thing I could find to her
Oh,
without
so cute.
actually sending a picture to someone.
Yeah, I'd
So
have it made. I've got people for you if you want to do that. We can
yeah,
talk about it now.
yeah.
So, Denise, thank you so much for being here with us. And for those of you that haven't yet, go out and get Polly the Talking Collie. This book it obviously is a lesson for people of all ages, even though Denise shared with us that it's written for 6 to 8 year olds, right? Is that what you said? Yeah. Like,
Yeah, reading ability is
yeah.
there. Yeah, kids
So here's
reading
here's the
ability.
thing. It is one of these books that obviously you can buy a bunch and donate them as well because there is so much great donation going on to such a good cause. So Denise, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And we are just so excited to watch where this journey unfolds, like what's next. You're always doing all these amazing things. So to everyone else, thank you so much. And if you believe other people would benefit from this amazing conversation that we just had with Denise, please share this with everybody in your circle of influence. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.